is 2.96 kilometres around this racetrack for 15 turns, flanked by concrete, giant curves, and we are going to see supercars flying around here. And it's characterised by those two big long straights along the beach, and then the one that's got a bit of a kick in it, as Mark Larkin just explained. But the curves are the thing. It's got all of the normal street surfaces, and we've got to make sure that when you approach this place, it's maximum commitment, but you've also just got to be so careful because the consequences are huge. He's now winding some pace into this car as he takes the green flag. Only 1/10 of a second covering the top 5. 0.48 the top 10 for this shootout. We've got 4 Mustangs in there, a couple of them from Tickford, a couple from Penrite, and here's our first runner in the Camaro for Erebus. Brody Kosticki's on a high after that brilliant drive at that panorama. And he was so strong in qualifying at Bathurst and grabbed the shootout pole. Out of turn 4, up the back straight now for this critical run at high speed. 240, 250, 260 k's as he gets to the chicane. He's cut the curve in the middle of it, and it did not need to happen. That was the turn. So the turning curve in the middle of the chicane has stepped in. And this is going to be part of the execution, the art of applying your trade on this layout is how you get between the concrete and the curves without doing what Brody just did. Pressing on because you never know who will follow the one at the same issue. George Collins is his engineer on the radio in the background. So frustration for him. He's down in 21st in the championship. Big fun participated in the top 10 shootout here.
Next person here.
Let's have a look at how he's having it. When we say you've got a curve, meaning too much hunger, use too much on this racetrack, and all 4 wheels and tyres to the wrong side of the next runner is James Courtney, 44 years of age. He's another that is based here on the coast. Trying to sell the Ford Mustang for Snowy and Rudolph Racing here. 1 minute 10.89. Here on 3 occasions. It's the 13th time that he's been in the top 10 shootout this location, Mark. He loves the place. He lives for the place. He lives not far from here, and he's done a mighty job in Cornwall to be able to get in this far. He certainly has. And I always say these sorts of racetracks, the personal exertion, the driver input at a place like this is huge. And I think what you're seeing from Courtney is exactly that now. Maximum commitment. He's always like that. I love watching him drive around this layout. It's a great lesson in precision and car placement when you watch the pros.
Coming down the straight now.
Here. Getting up next to those walls, finding that braking reference, all the varieties of surfaces that they're negotiating on the way. Here's where Brody got it strike. Initially floats it through, pops out the other side, gets away with it, does not get a curb strike. Turn 11. This lap unfolds very quickly. Right there is Will Brown, where he came unstuck in qualifying. James comes out the other side nicely. Now remembering that these numbers we're going to see in the Boost Mobile Top 10 shootout are not going to be the numbers that we've seen from qualifying, because everyone was doing it on their second lap. They're trying to do this now on an opening lap. It's roughly 1 second slower under that scenario. You just can't get the tyre pressure and temperature up to do the same thing. So the control line for James in top gear, and illustrating your point there, Mark, with 1 minute 11.9. And so James puts it together what looked like pretty good luck. He carried a bit of pace into turn 1. Listening in the background. What's the report on your lap?
G'day guys, how you doing?
Good. Tell us about your lap.
Oh mate, it's pretty slick out here. It's really sketchy in the second part of the lap. A little bit of cloud covers, that might help the boys coming up, but yeah, pretty tricky conditions, mate.
Alright, thank you for the chat. Have a good one this afternoon.
Just happy to be here, mate.
Thanks, Joe. This weekend after the shunt at Bathurst and the big rebuild in the gap in between. He loves this place. He's been very successful here. He did a 1 minute 10.8, had a couple of wins, but they were 10 years apart, 2013 and 2023. Behind the scenes for David Reynolds at this location on the podium. He wants to put together a competitive famous scene now on this lap. Brand new race car at one of the wildest layouts that you can possibly imagine. It's his 80th shootout, Neil. More than anybody else in this shootout. 80 shootouts for David Reynolds. He's very experienced. So some places drivers will go to, they just quickly, and this is one of them. And you can work around it. Feel hard at the moment as he fires it through the chicane. No curb strike, but a lot of sliding and flying going on there. Turn 11 is challenging. It's got a big lump in the middle of it and it cambers away on the exit, so the car slides out of there in second gear. Look at the judicious use of the throttle, a little brush of the brake to get the load back on the nose. Progresses nicely through to 100%, flat shifting second to third and then back to second gear. Wiping all of the speed out of it across here. Tiny little bit of understeer in that slow progression back to 100%. Now he's looking at the shift lights, concentrating all the way to the flag. He's got to try and beat an 11.9 and he hasn't quite done it. He's 2/100ths away from James Courtney. Very nice lap. That's Richard Holloway just talking to David Reynolds there, and a very, very nice lap. There was maximum usage of this curve. Have a look at the crossover with a car sliding across there. He's a positive lock on it to make it to turn 10.
Is there anything more iconic than watching a top 10 shootout around the streets of Supercars? 3 down and 7 to go. Multi.
We can't right now. I'm still a bit all the things about what happened with Brodie's lap there. Watching the last two go through there. The curb detection point that was deactivated was 186, I think, yesterday went across the curb there. Maybe it's too sensitive. Curb detection point, folks who don't know, is a loop that's put in the chicane now on the back straight to really clearly define if someone's gone too far in. But the last two, Courtney and Reynolds in particular, he was really attacking the curbs there. So it's one of those fine little things here to keep an eye on here in the Boost Mobile Top 10 shootout.
There's so much more yet to come. As we say, we've got James Golding, Matthew Payne, Brock Feeney, Thomas Randall, Cam Waters, Chaz Mostert and Richie Saturday. They'll be wanting to pump it up and throw everything that they can at starting for the first race on the streets of Surf Paradise this afternoon. Very ready, James. Wherever you are watching around this beautiful precinct, thank you for spending your Saturday with us. The Boost Mobile Gold Coast 500, and we are getting ready to pump it up to the top 10 shooters. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up, you got to pump it up.
is our next runner, car number 31. 28 years of age, originally out of Warragul down there in Victoria, but he's now resident on the Gold Coast, so I think he'd be right by that team, Yulon Racing, Chef Camaro. Now remember last year, Mark, he did an epic job in quali, ended up qualifying 6th. He had a little blue little problem in the race, but his qualifying pace around here was really, really impressive. So third time ahead a Gold Coast top 10 shootout, and he nudged up further in the championship standings at Bathurst after a really solid performance up there. Quite achiever on the day. He's now moved up into 5th position, so that's a fine performance. He got in today on the strength of a 1 minute 10.8.
And remember, he scored a pole in the shootout in Darwin this year. He's gone with 4 rotor tyres. So we talked about maybe using a rotor tyre on the front, but between Robbie Maynard and Little Acquire and James Golding, they've made an executive decision in that bunker to put 4 rotor tyres on there.
Just to expand on that. As they've come out of the mould, so they've just had a little bit of conditioning. Maybe a very light heat cycle has gone through the tyre, therefore roaded, and hopefully takes less time for them to be able to adapt to the road surface when the demand is fully on them for all of that longitudinal lateral grip where the driver will be leaning hard on those tyres. Sector splits so far, well, 3 drivers in 3 sectors have done the job, so expect a quick man in first sector, James Courtney through the mid sector of the racetrack, David Reynolds through the third sector. Critical to be able to get that big mobile out of the last corner. I can hear in the background a tiny little bit of second gear wheel spin here for James Golding as he gets his lap underway. This is what Mark Lyman spoke about earlier. This complex run into turn 1 where the car is unweighted on the right side, but then you have to turn left in the process. Flies beautifully in, out the other side of turns 1, 2, 3 over the chicane, and barely a millimetre to spare from that driver's mirror on the right-hand side of the concrete wall.
Nicely done. And basically, nothing in it between any of the runners in the first sector so far. He had the car against the right-hand side wall in the turn 4. Gets it on turn 10 very, very well.
And celebrate the skill, folks, because you just watch James sliding that car out of the chicane, off the curbing, all the way up to that wall with absolute precision, without monstering it. So good looking lap so far, very quick through the mid-sector, the fastest that we've seen through the middle of the racetrack, which is north onto that straight and through that high-speed chicane. The lap unfolds rapidly around here into turn 15, the last corner. They're studying the data and the micros, looking carefully. Again, some evidence of a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the final corner. Is this going to be enough to knock on 11.9? It is an 11.6, and a great job by James Golding.
Skill plate on inlap and you go straight to the scales, which
And very nice for James Courtney in the bottom of the screen then to actually applaud and say, well done, that's a nice lap. He's on almost 3/10 of a second. Have a look at that slide. Beautifully done, James Golding on turn 3.
Obviously, it's pretty loose around here between the walls, but yeah, really enjoyed it, so see how we feel with the other boys.
Beautiful execution, mate. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
Now, rotor tyre. So does that actually tell a tale?
1/3 of a second margin over James Courtney is our next runner. Fronts up, 22 years of age, only had a recent birthday from Auckland in number 19, the Mustang Penrite Racing, Matt Payne. It was a challenging Ripco Bathurst 1000 for him, but there's no denying the pace of this young guy. Made a big name for himself at the back end of last year and throughout this championship season. He's seen 6th in our championship. He put 1 minute 10.7. That's the third time he's been in the Gold Coast top 10 shootout. He knows his way around here. One thing he does not lack is absolute commitment.
Absolutely. I love watching him drive the car. This young Kiwi has got real flair. Now, he's decided to go with 2 road front tyres, and I reckon that's a really good halfway house.
And Brad stacking here on the rear. Nice job through turn 4 in the headwind. He's marked perfectly. There was no evidence of any wheel spin on sliding popping out the other side. And the evidence is on the clock. He's done 20.8 to be the fastest man in sector 1. Listen to this thing up the back straight. 100% throttle out the other side. And then in and out of the shadows in the braking area. He's made a mistake, unfortunately, and falls away. turn 11. Brad McPherson on the right-hand side of the screen.
Had purple first, second,
And as I said just only a few moments ago, no shortage of commitment. He is maximum attack constantly, and they know that they've got to invest in this young guy, and to a degree, Brad McPherson spoke to me about it yesterday. Much happier to have a guy that you've got to play woe netting with than giddy up, because there's a ton of speed there.
That's exactly right. He was actually at that point there, he's got those numbers from Scott Sinclair, he was 0.3 of a second up at that point. So that was a really cool lap. I was about to say that what trapped him a little bit is he got off turn 10 at the top of the chicane really well. So when you think about all that, I would much rather him make a little mistake like that, Neil, than the other way around, and not be trying hard enough. Look at that. Oh, he almost scraped it down the field.
So he's also trying to maximise his approach. Here it is from his viewpoint, and it just couldn't quite get away with it. Hey Matt, what a frustration. You had tremendous pace up to that point.
Yeah, no, that was looking pretty good, but unfortunately got an extra gear down to turn 11, so quite frustrating, but
Okay, thanks for chatting to us in tough circumstances. Have a good run.
So that requires a bit of downloading, because he might not have got back to a gear, which is actually hurt the engine braking.
We'll come back to that as we focus on Brock Feeney, 21 years of age. He's now moved up to second in the championship. He came in with a 110.6. At this location, despite being born, bred, and very much a local, he's not had a podium nor a pole here. But boy, is he in the fight for the championship, and he's off to an incredibly strong start, including on this lap with a beautiful flight through turn 1.
He got through there really, really nicely, didn't he? Young Gold Coast lad, he's got real pace. What about his street race drive at Adelaide last year? It was absolutely superb. And that first split for Beattie is the fastest so far. You called it straight away. So turn 10. I reckon Matt Payne got off there nicer than anybody so far. Can he get a stop? Yes, he does. Absolutely beautifully.
Didn't drop down as far to the right in that braking approach to turn 11 there in that grey stuff. And that was what trapped young Matt Payne. 23.8 in the mid-sector. He's only 8/100ths away from the time that was achieved by James Golding. This is going to be right on the money as he gets to the final corner complex in through 15. Lights up the rear with a tiny, tiny little bit of exit oversteer. But it's a very good looking lap that's currently on target to improve on the 11.6 that was achieved by James Golding, and he hunters in. On anyone else.
That is an emphatic statement in this year's championship. He knows that Will Brown is outside the top 10, he's in 11th, and Brock Feeney has just put 0.35 on the field. A local Gold Coast lad has absolutely done it at home. Well done, mate.
It's about the lead time, Casey. I've missed the shootout every time, so look, we'll see where we end up. It was a good start, some lap scrappy in the end, but even it's good to be at home and see so many fans out here.
Mate, superb effort, well done.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Beanie on the streets of Surfers Paradise. Fantastic.